Our reach literally went to zero. Do you think that's coincidence?
Curriculum is literally just indoctrination. We're gonna indoctrinate you with the knowledge that we want you to have. Because there are forces in this world that they're not looking for your best interest, right? They don't care about your best interest.
Why are they always pitting the left versus the right against each other? If you have two sides but serving the same master, does it matter which side you're supporting? Welcome back to the It Show, where we tackle all of the ideas, all the things that people think about, but are too afraid to discuss. A lot of times it's because the algorithm's impacting you, especially as a content creator. And we're going to tackle some things today that people are definitely afraid to discuss, things that we even question, should we? Because do we want to be punished? And as always, I'm joined by my co-host today, Edelio Sanchez. Eddie, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. We are gluttons for punishment. So I think with that mentality, we have no choice. We have no choice but to go forth with this task that we've been handed. We've grasped at. So I'm excited to tackle some of the things that we're going to tackle today, man.
Okay, beautiful. So what are we glutton for, man? What is the give us a hot topic, something that I know what we're talking about,
right?
But take us off so we can land the plane.
So the biggest thing right now that's going on is the lies. The lies that have been perpetuated and told over and over and over by our own people, man, by our own government. I feel like right now there's such a pressure cooker moment for this country, with everything that's coming out from the Epstein files, with everything that's coming out from all these different like elite groups, right? Like you have Hollywood, you have DC, like District of Columbia, all these politicians. So you have all these different elites, anchors, like every single aspect of power in this society, in this world, they're all stepping into the light all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And us as the population, we're going, wait a minute, maybe I've been living a lie. Maybe I've been thinking that something is a certain way when in fact it isn't. I wanna see what you think about what's going on right now, because to me, this is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah, I think it confirms what a lot of us already knew. But what's interesting is people still choose to turn a blind eye to it. And specifically, let's tackle, the Epstein files, right?
Yeah.
Very hot topic right now, but it's also one of the ones that are kind of like people are brushing it off because, oh, it's baseless claims. Just because a name is mentioned doesn't mean that they were doing anything wrong, yada, yada, yada. But when you start reading some of the emails, did you see the one about 9/11 or the ones about 9/11?
Oh yeah, when they were going back and forth with the insurance claim.
Not that one.
Not that one.
But I'm sure that all that shit ties together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yes. So basically, within the week that everything happened, there's emails that are tying Jeffrey Epstein, the Mossad, all of them, into where there's actual emails going back that say, "Where's the actual pilots?"
I did not see those.
Yeah. So the idea is that and this is something I think we've discussed this before.
Yeah.
And last time we discussed the topic, I got to be honest, like we questioned whether or not we should bring it back up, even though that the basis of the show was to tackle some of these ideas. But our reach literally went to zero.
Yeah.
On our shorts, we average 1,100, 1,400 views on the shorts that we post to YouTube. And when we brought this up before,
mm-hmm.
those 1,100 went to zero for all of the shorts for that episode. And even more revealing was our best performing one was like 8 views. 8. Yeah. From 1,100 to 8.
Right.
Do you think that's coincidence?
Absolutely not. I mean, you and I both know how systems work, right? Our business is based off of systems. Mm-hmm. We use a CRM to keep us organized, to keep up with what we have to do. And the only way that we move the needle forward is by making sure that system is organized and optimized. what this tells me is that the system that this platform is using triggers a tag, right? When your content comes in, right? When a lead comes into my system, when a lead comes into your system, typically we have formatted it so that it goes into a certain bucket. This is going to be a first-time home buyer. This is going to be a seller. This is going to be an investor. Whatever it is, there's different buckets for it, and we approach it differently because that's what they deserve. But because what we are bringing to the platform is a certain thing, what I'm thinking is there's a tag that gets attached to that, and anything that has to do with that one large piece of content, whether it's shorts or clips or whatever it is, because it comes and it has attachment to that main thing, it gets treated and it gets put in a different bucket. Mm-hmm. It's clear as day to me.
Right.
Now, that signals to me that whoever is setting up those rules in the platform just doesn't want us, anyone else, Joe Rogan, whatever, talking about these things. They don't want us talking about it. And to me, you know my story. To me, somebody who comes from a background of knowing the freedoms, losing the freedoms, oppression, gaining it back, like it just is something deep within my soul that just cannot sit well with that. Like it riles me up.
Right.
Might I say it fucks me up. And I have to make sure that whatever I choose to do, and I think we align on this, is a smart thing to do. Right? Mm-hmm. I need to not just operate from emotion. I need to operate from my intellect because I've been working on this freaking thing for a long time. So we gotta be smart about this. But we also I'm not gonna shy away from talking about it. We just gotta do it in an intelligent way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another big breaking news story. You seen Tucker Carlson was detained in Israel?
No, what?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
This happened like a couple of days ago. They seized his passport, everything. Yeah, so he went over there to interview somebody. I don't want to misspeak and say who he was interviewing, but he interviewed somebody in Israel to get their side of the story of whatever was going on. And at the airport, they seized his passport and detained him.
Is he currently in Israel? Detained?
That's a great question. I have to double check where he is. Let me see if he's out yet.
Yeah.
Because this was, breaking news as of even 6 hours ago. He was detained at the
airport in Israel. Mm-hmm. See, somebody like Tucker, somebody that has...
And he has a whole documentary, by the way, about 9/11.
Right. Right.
You know, I'm not saying he was saying that it was a false flag or what have you, but go to tuckercarlson.com.
Yeah. Find out for yourself. Do your own research.
Do your own due diligence.
Dude, okay, so one thing that I will say about Tucker, because I don't agree with him on everything.
Right.
But he is courageous to a fault, I think. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I think that's something that's a version of the timeline that you can choose where you can still believe that you're doing the right thing. You can still believe that you have the protection of God with you. You can still believe all these things. We're all free to believe these things. But how do I say this so that it actually comes out the way that I want it to? I think when it comes to courage, blind courage can be more damaging than helpful. I think when you have courage, if you don't learn how to almost like harness it and use it properly, intelligently, which I know he does. He has a whole team around him that helps him bottle up, harness, and use that courage properly. But I do feel like because there are forces in this world that they're not looking for your best interest, right? They don't care about your best interest. When you operate, you have to always keep that in mind. I just don't see why somebody like him, somebody that speaks about the things that he speaks, would put himself in that position. It just seems like he's smarter than that. Why would he do that?
Because he's a truth seeker. I think it's simple as that. people like him, people like Candace, they're going to seek the truth. And even if they are putting themselves in danger, I think their values, the hierarchy of what's most important, I think is something that always remains true. It's the principles, they're guiding principles of life.
Yeah.
And I respect the fuck out of it because it's terrifying. Like it genuinely is, somebody that I think of as an independent thinker, somebody who was very, very vocal. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago was the most Googled man in the world. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that they had to talk with him. Because now there's certain interviews now that you see with him in it, and they mention certain topics like the ones we're discussing.
Yeah.
And he won't engage fully anymore. And he won't go down that rabbit hole. And he'll just leave it as is. Shortly after Kirk.
Right.
I'm sure there was a talk that was had. And I'm sure Kirk was not willing to continue to allow what was happening to actually happen. Do I think he knew what would happen? Of course not. But nobody knows what's going to happen. And that's kind of where the fear sets in and the uncertainty of, should I keep going down this rabbit hole? Do I think that Tucker or Candace, anything can happen to them? I absolutely do, but I don't think it'll happen in the same way that happened to Kirk. I think one day maybe you're just driving and all of a sudden your brakes don't work.
Right.
I think it might be some kind of freak accident that you can't tie to a hit or anything like that, but it's just, damn, that's really unfortunate.
Yep.
And they can get you, man. Think about you in your life right now. If someone with the resources, with AI, you think of Israel right now, what makes them so powerful? A lot of people say, well, without the US, they're nothing. There's people who have that argument, right? And there's probably some truth to it, but I don't think they're nothing.
Right.
I think the fact that they're backed by the US and the US politicians are all bought and paid for through foreign policy and supporting a foreign nation and all of those different things, such as Venezuela just shipped their first shipment of crude oil to Israel. Right. First time ever.
Right.
That has happened. Coincidence?
Mm-mm.
I think not.
Yeah.
But all of Israel's power comes from knowledge. It comes from intel that they have on certain people. And then I'm sure there's a lot of US politicians right now that they know, like, I don't want to support this, but they got me by the fucking balls. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And if I do something about it, it's not just me I have to worry about.
Right. That's where it is.
That's the biggest problem. I think there's a lot of people who have courage and they're not worried about their own safety, but they are worried about the safety of their family.
Correct. And that's a point that I understood, but not to the depth that I understand now, having a son, right? Like looking into this kid's eyes and just I can't even fathom putting him in any sort of jeopardy. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to the way that I choose to be courageous now, it's a very calculated game. It's where is the line? Where is the limit where I could still speak my truth, but I'm not overextending myself to the point where now it's not just my safety that's in question, it's my entire family's safety that's in question. Like I don't think we're saying anything that no one else is saying, but we do have to consider these things, right? Like I have to consider these things now. And talking about intelligence, let's tie it all back to one of the biggest intelligent assets that is now kind of out on the table, Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. There's so much tying him to intelligence, right? Our own DA back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. He was pursuing his case and then he let it go. Right. Because on the record, he goes, I was told he comes from intelligence. That's all he needed to know. And he left it, right? Acosta, I'm talking about like a few years ago. Now, what's in those files that's coming out that's now tying all these different loose ends together is it's so evident to me. that the game that's been being played and that has been played for a long time, it's a game of leverage. If a person has intel that they can leverage so that you can go ahead and act a certain way, act against your own interest, act against the interest of your country, that's where the scary stuff lies. And if anything, these Epstein files are letting us know, like, there's a plethora of leverage going all over the place, going on the right side of the fence, going on the left side of the fence, going through every single aspect of what we consider to be the freest country in the world, right? We have freedom. It is earned, but we have freedom. But is it really free?
It's an illusion to a degree. I mean, you can argue there's a lot of other countries that are much more free than us.
Yeah.
And, my wife wants to leave. She's been begging me to leave America since 2019.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, there was a period of my life where I was just so pro-America for what I believed America stood for. And to a degree, I still want to believe these things. But the deeper that I start diving in to American history, history is written by the victors. We've always been the victor. And you start diving in deeper and deeper, and you're like, hold on a second. We're colonizers. Is that what the American dream actually is? Is colonizers? How was America founded, right? If you go back to, let's just go to the basics, right? Native Americans, Indians were here. Then what happened?
We took over.
Christopher Columbus came.
Yep.
And then Thanksgiving happened. Like, think about that. This is how America was founded.
Yeah.
They come, it's going to be a peaceful ordeal, and then we just massacre them and take their land.
Correct.
That's how America was founded. Like, put that into perspective, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Now, if you were America, would you write that in your own history books? Would you say, hey, we came here, we saw, we conquered, there was a bloodbath?
I think that I would leave it just because it was already written and etched into the books at that point in time. And that was such a long time ago that it is what it is. But I think where things really started to change, as a matter of fact, is the Holocaust. Did you know the Holocaust wasn't something that was mentioned much at all, like very, very briefly, in the textbooks before millennials?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, look into it. It's fucking revealing, shocking. Talk to your parents about the Holocaust. If you have any grandparents right now, just talk to them. See what they think about what actually happened.
Right.
Because now there's evidence to suggest that how many Jews were killed in the Holocaust?
Over 6 million. That's
over 6 million.
That's the site.
Yeah. So that's the documented number that is publicly proclaimed here in America. 6 million Jews. In where? In Eastern Europe? In Europe? Not even 6 million Jews in Europe during that period of time. How are 6 million killed?
Right. And so what they're alleging is they're overinflating.
Overinflating.
Yeah.
Now again, the argument that could then come up is, well, how can you prove that?
Right.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe we can't prove that. But why were the books that were written on history at that point in time different then than they are today? Why was the Holocaust this thing where we grew up it wasn't a part of American history in the 60s, 70s, 80s. It wasn't until or maybe it was in the 80s, in the 80s, 90s in our generation where this was pushed. Like when you start going through history in the history books and all that stuff. Now, dare I say that it's possible because all the textbooks in America were being published by Ghislaine Maxwell's father?
That's a huge connection.
There might be people thinking, what are you talking about? Maybe that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Just fucking look it up. Okay? Look it up.
Look it up. Not just that, not just the printing press, right? It was what was the name of the press? I forget, but it's a huge one. It's one of the number one Scholastic? No, it's not Scholastic. I don't want to throw one of the
right.
one of the players under the bus. I don't know what the name of the printing press was, but those printing presses were also in cahoots with what's his name? Carnegie. Right? And all the people, the Rockefellers, all these people that were the eminent titans of this entire playground at the time. They also had a hand in not just the books that you're reading in school, right? Like I, for example, going to high school in Venezuela, I never really had the same education that, for example, my wife had.
Right.
But because we've been together for long enough and that we've had a lot of conversation about what our lives, our childhoods were like, she had her reading assignments were very specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember some of the reading assignments that you had when you were in school?
Of course.
Did you ever read The Devil's Arithmetic?
No.
That's a book about the Holocaust. Did you ever read The Diary of Anne Frank?
Oh, yeah.
Right, that's another one. There's a couple of, when you start looking at the breadcrumbs of like, okay, this is where the curriculum is, right? Curriculum is literally just indoctrination. We're going to indoctrinate you with the knowledge that we want you to have. We want you to have this knowledge because it's going to prepare you the best for what's ahead. What do we know for a fact as people that deal with people all the time, right? People don't listen to what we're saying. They listen to what they've been programmed to hear.
Right.
And that's a fact. That's the main reason why husbands and wives have disagreements. That's the main reason why the thing that you're trying to work on is not happening, because the way that you're communicating with the person across the table is not landing. Why? Because what I'm saying to you is based on my experience, and the way it's landing for you is based on your experience.
Right.
And a lot of miscommunication can happen there. So if that is a fact, we've been programmed to hear what we are going to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't we look at the way we've been programmed, the chapters in our programming?
Right.
Go back and look at the things that you were taught in school. Go back and look at the things that you were made to read and make a report on in school. Like, these are all very important things. If the curriculum is completely orchestrated by a certain group of people, if the books are being written by the same people, at some point you have to come to the conclusion that, like, maybe what I know, maybe what I'm so sure of, maybe everything that's in the background and the mental library that I have, maybe all that stuff is flawed. Or maybe not flawed, maybe it has been inflated. Maybe it has been embellished. Maybe it has been painted with a brush that completely makes me look at a different picture. If I go to a different perspective, maybe I'll see something else.
That's a really good point, because what you want to do is you want to start looking at the indoctrination, because there's an old saying that goes, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're conditioned to believe one thing very, very specific, right? And this goes back to a marketing idea. Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, owner ClickFunnels, all that great stuff. Incredible, right? But as a part of his perfect webinar, inside the framework, there is one fundamental belief that most people miss. Like 99% of people miss in all their marketing campaigns when they're trying to pitch their big idea, whatever the case may be. And what that one belief is I need you to believe one thing. I need you to believe one thing. And if I can get you to believe this one thing, then I'll knock down all the other dominoes. What is the one thing that they're trying to get you to believe today?
Mm-hmm.
First off, I don't know any anti-Semites.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I didn't know this was a fucking word until 3 or 4 years ago. Anti-Semite. Maybe I'm ignorant. I don't know. But now on the Super Bowl, did you see this commercial?
Yep. Sure did.
where there's a Jewish kid and, he's just getting bullied where they put a little thing on his back, and then, a black guy goes to his locker room and he puts a blue sticker on his backpack and he says, "I know how you feel."
Yeah.
Do you believe if you grew up in the 60s in America, you grew up with this, with a similar level of prejudice as Jewish kids, if you were black in America?
Right.
Do you believe even over the last 50 or 60 years, if you were Jewish in America, that people were discriminating against you just because you were Jewish in America?
Right. No.
I don't know anybody who was an anti-Semite. That's a fucking word that I didn't even know existed until it started popping up everywhere. The question then becomes, why all of a sudden is this such a big deal?
Right.
Is the one belief, the belief that people are anti-Semitic, which is why we have to do what we have to do? But if you start looking into it, I mean, Jewish people were kicked out of 109 countries. And I'm not an anti-Semite. I got good friends. I have good friends right now that are Jewish.
Yeah.
But they don't believe in the state of Israel.
Correct.
They said these motherfuckers are immoral, dirty, grimy, murderers. I don't believe a thing that they say. As a matter of fact, the state of Israel, they're rebelling against what Israel is doing. The question is, why are you not receiving those notifications?
Right.
Why are you not getting the awareness around the fact that Netanyahu is being prosecuted by his own people? He's a fucking war criminal. And the only way that he can maintain power is if there's a threat against the security of Israel. So he must always be at war. And that is, if I say that, and I'm an anti-Semite, because that's what they will come after me with.
Yeah.
You're an anti-Semite. Look what you just said. No, motherfucker, I'm anti-Zionist. And I remember when all of this shit was happening, October 7th happened. And I remember how ignorant I was when October 7th happened. And I was like, yeah, man, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. And I remember, my wife, I've known her now for so many years. And she used to show me stuff that was happening in Palestine before October 7th. And I brushed it off because I was programmed in America.
Right.
And I'd be like, yeah, like that's fucked up. Yeah, if what you're saying is true, that's fucked up. But I wouldn't get too attached to what she's saying because I'm like, look, this is negative. I'm trying to focus on what I could control and just keep it moving. And then October 7th happens. I'm like, no, you got to burn those motherfuckers down. Like that shit, not okay. And then you start seeing, or really start diving into the history behind the conflict. And diving into all of the things that have happened and been happening for the last several decades.
Yeah.
And how Israel as a state even became a state. Do you know how Israel as a state became a state?
I don't know.
Jewish people were displaced after World War II. And Palestinians welcomed them to their land. One day, Palestinians go to work, they come back home, door's locked. They say, look, this is our home now, you gotta leave. Held him at gunpoint. If you stay, we're gonna kill you. As a matter of fact, Gigi Hadid, the
model?
The model?
Yeah.
Her father was one of those Palestinians. Documented fact, proof, all the above.
I did not know this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Holy shit.
And if you don't believe me, look it up. Look it up. And then what has happened, people are saying right now is the Great Awakening. Because of TikTok. Honestly, without TikTok, it is awakened so many of the young generation. What are they, the Gen Zers? Gen
I
X?
guess now Alpha? I don't even know.
Whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
The generation
Anyway.
below us and the young generation, the younger generations. Because of TikTok, people were going live on TikTok. There was no blocking the reach. You could literally at that point in time go to TikTok and watch live feeds of people who were streaming live. You could just say, hey, I want to see what's happening in Palestine, go there, and then you could see the live streams happening in Palestine, and you see all the crazy shit that was going on.
Yeah. Same with Ukraine. Same with Ukraine.
It's awakened everybody.
Yeah.
And because the younger generation is now aware, now there's a huge push. Now who owns TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Now who owns TikTok?
Us.
Us. Who's us?
Great question. Great
Israel
question. Yeah.
owns it.
Yeah.
They fucking bought TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe you start seeing different messages. But here's all I know. Regardless of what your religious beliefs are, and you can be Christian, you can be Muslim, you can be Jewish, you can be all of those different things. At the end of the day, what you have to look at is, are they living in alignment with the values that your God, the God you believe in, instilled into you and instilled into how you should live? And if not, maybe start diving into it, because I want you, if you're listening to this right now, and I know the thing is, I know this episode, the reach is going to get throttled like a motherfucker, bro. I know it. So if you're watching this right now, just consider the possibility. I'm not telling you to believe anything that I'm saying. All I'm saying is consider the possibility that what I'm saying has an ounce of truth to it. An ounce of truth. And then dive just a little bit deeper and find out for yourself what the truth is. And what I would also argue that you do is consider the source when you're doing the research.
Yep. Very important.
Very important.
Yeah.
Because if I go to CNN or I go to Fox or if I go to any American media outlet, I already know what it's going to tell me. I don't even need to see what it reads. But I can go to any other outlet around the world. And why is their media painting the picture of a completely different story?
Something's lining up.
You saw when Netanyahu spoke. Was it at the United Nations? It might have. I think it was at the United Nations. He came to speak, and 75% of all of the people at the United Nations walked out during his speech. Is that not telling enough for you? Or are you just going to believe whatever the media is feeding you? And I'm speaking to both sides, regardless if you're Democrat, regardless if you're Republican. In my lifetime, in 35 years, I've been both. Both.
Yeah. I
grew up Democrat. Those are all the things I believed. I started seeing the shit that was happening in America in 2016 and started realizing, I'm pro-America. I was pro, I was super pro-Trump, right? 2016, super pro-Trump. All this stuff happens. 2020, the Dems take over. And then I was like, I am so pro-Trump now. Yeah. So pro-Trump. 24, I'm fucking campaigning for him and all my sidebar conversations. I'm like, you need to go vote Trump. You see how fucking bad these Democrats are? You see how corrupt these people are? You see all this shit? And then now Trump's taking over. I'm like, oh, he's compromised too.
It's the other side of the coin. Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, why are they always pitting the left versus the right against each other? Because they need us to choose sides.
Yeah.
But if you have two sides but serving the same master, does it matter which side you're supporting?
Let them cook.
Let them cook, baby.
I'll say this too. When it comes to making up your own mind, because that's what we're all about here, right? We want to make up our own mind, and a lot of times we're not even going to agree on things. We agree on a lot of stuff, but here's one thing that I would venture the listener start doing if they haven't already been doing. Look at facts. Look at the facts on things. There's a fact that has been literally in front of all of our faces if we like movies, if we like Hollywood, if we like entertainment. One of the biggest facts is Mel Gibson's story, right? Mel Gibson starts off, he has Mad Max, right? He goes straight to the top. He has, what do you do, Braveheart? He has all these massive movies. All of a sudden, right? He doesn't come from connection. He doesn't come from Hollywood. He doesn't come from media. He came from Ohio, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Or Tate, whatever. He goes to Hollywood. He starts making it. But he also starts noticing, like, hey, there's stuff going on around me that I can't ignore.
Right.
Like there's old interviews with Mel where he goes, when you start seeing things and you start seeing it over and over and over, you gotta go like, am I tripping? Or is there something really off here with everybody? Right? I walk into a room, and because I'm not saying the same stuff as everybody else, maybe they all just gotta get quiet. They look at you a little bit different. And that keeps happening. That keeps happening. Right? Maybe you're just not part of the club. Maybe you got lucky. So what ends up happening with Mel is at a certain point, he goes, there's something really, really wrong here. He starts kind of playing the game, and he starts understanding what's actually happening in Hollywood. At some point within him starting to figure out what's going on with Hollywood, he decides to play the game a different way. And he says, I'm going to make a movie that has to do with my belief. I'm going to make The Passion of the Christ. He writes it. He wants to direct it. He wants the movie to be in Aramaic, a dead language, which is the language that those people spoke. The Jews back then spoke. Jesus spoke. Jim Caviezel gets attached to the project, right? He learns Aramaic. When you dive into how that entire production happened, then you start seeing a pattern. You start seeing that whenever there's a guy or a group of guys that want to make a movie in Hollywood, they start putting together funds.
Right.
They go to a studio, whether it be Columbia, whether it be Warner Brothers, whether it be Disney, whether it be Universal, whatever. All these different studios. They start pitching the movie, and eventually a studio is going to be like, you know what? We believe in your vision. They make them believe in the one thing. And then everything else happens. But in that process, there was an entity that was lobbying against this man getting his movie made. You know what that entity was?
No.
The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. And that institution has a very specific goal, which is thwart anti-Semitism. We don't want anti-Semitism to be part of the communications, the entertainment, the movies, what have you. So, because he essentially got blacklisted in Hollywood,
He disappeared.
he disappeared.
He was top of the world. He did Patriot, Braveheart.
Everything.
Yeah.
He did not quit, though. He goes into a place where he goes, you really don't want me to make this movie, do you? I'm going to make it whether you like it or not. He goes and he raises some money, but he puts $45 million of his own money that he made doing all these movies, literally his life savings. He goes, I'm going to grab all this and I'm going to put it all on red. I'm going to put it all on this one movie that I believe in with my entire heart. And then what happens with The Passion of the Christ after he goes through in the entire process, he post-production, puts it out, it just becomes the #1 movie for Christians, right? When The Passion of the Christ came out, that first weekend, it made over $80 million. Overall, it made about $650 million worldwide. And he became the example. He became the person that went against the beast and won. He became David. And because he became David, then they made it impossible for him to do anything else. They were like, this man went against us and won. We can't let that happen again. And where is he now? He's still doing the things that he wants to do. He did Apocalypto after, which is an amazing movie about the founding of America. An incredible movie. Maybe I just fucked it up for you. And now, after knowing all those things, after knowing how those leaked conversations with his wife, him talking all this shit, talking bad about the Jews, right? You start to go like, maybe this man isn't just a hateful man. Maybe there's something behind why he hates the way he does, right? Like, I'm not condoning his language or how he approaches things, but maybe there's a reason why he is the way he is. Maybe there's a reason why he speaks the way he speaks, why he acts the way he acts, right? He's now working on the follow-up to The Passion of the Christ.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch that movie.
Right. One thing I want to get abundantly clear. We're not anti-Semitic.
No.
To any degree. Like, I don't have a problem with Jewish people at all. But the Zionist prerogative, the narratives that they're pushing, they're making you choose again and bundling Jewish and Zionist as the same thing. Not the same thing.
Not the same thing at all.
At all. But if you have to choose a side, it then becomes easier to control you.
Mm-hmm. If you lump all these people into one thing, then it just becomes an idea rather than a group of people, a very small minority that are the reason why things happen the way they happen. Mm-hmm. Now, because you touched on it, this great awakening that's happening, I don't know what the future looks like. I really don't. But one thing that I'm hopeful about is the fact that most people are starting to really take it to heart. Like, hey, someone's shoving me while I'm laying in bed. Someone's really trying to yell in my ear to wake up. And it's not just someone. More people keep showing up. I would beg everybody that's the 5 people that are watching this right now, I would beg you. Start edging towards the edge of the bed. Start putting your feet on the ground, right? Start realizing that your future is in your hands. Like, really, if you let all these different outlets, all these different narratives get in your kingdom, right? The Trojan horse. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. I think with that said, this has been a great episode.
Yeah.
For all 5 listeners. Like, you
we didn't touch on 10X.
We will touch on 10X.
Yeah.
But this was such a powerful episode.
Yeah.
If you guys have your thoughts and you want to discuss something or a topic that you feel we should discuss on the show, we want to hear it. We want to hear your thoughts on what we just talked about.
Yep.
If you were on one side of the fence, here or there, it doesn't matter, and you decided to open up your mind to the possibility that we may have been lied to our entire lives, and you had revelation, please share it. Because it's important for us as a people to maintain the ability to think for ourselves. And that's what the show is about.
Yep.
It's about independent thinking. That's why it's called The It Show. So with that being said, you want to close us out?
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Since last week, we have seen a spike on subscribers, so I really do appreciate you guys. There's about 25% of people are now subscribed. So that's a huge number. The actual, I'm using percentages because the overall number is different, but 25% is gargantuan. This is exponential stuff, so thank you. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Hit that bell notification so that you don't miss the next one. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time.